Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to share with you some books I've bought recently. Some of them are not so recent. The first one that I just got in the mail is State of Sorrow. I believe this book is a YA fantasy book that is very political heavy. I picked this up because quite a while ago, Lucy from Crescent Pages did a video recommending books to booktubers, and she was so lovely and featured me in that video and recommended this book along with City of Brass. I have read City of Brass and I adore it. So since Lucy is so familiar with my taste, I have a lot of faith in this book and I think I'm going to really like it. So on the back it says, by day, sorrow governs the court of tears, covering for her grief, maddened father. By night she seeks solace in the arms of the boy she loved since childhood, but one ghost won't stop haunting her, and when old enemies and new close ranks against her, sorrow must decide how far she's willing to go to win. Very intrigued by this one. And also I managed to get this for $4. What a bargain. The next two books I am so excited for. Those two are The Bear and the Nightingale and The Girl in the Tower. If you have not heard, I am co-hosting a read-along that Meg from Meg with Books, who is such a darling and also one of my closest friends here, one of my oldest friends here too now. Isn't that crazy, Meg? We've known each other like over a year. That's insane. Anyway, she is organizing this read-along because these two books are the first two books in her favorite fantasy trilogy. I have read The Bear and the Nightingale before. I read it, I think 2017, 2018, but I listened to the audiobook and I just didn't comprehend the audiobook. So I feel like I haven't read it even though I listened to the whole audiobook. This is a Russian fairy tale inspired fantasy book. This first book follows Vasya, I believe you pronounce her name as. I believe there's a bit of like the chosen one trope, and it's apparently the perfect kind of book for winter, which is why Meg decided to do the read along during the winter season in the northern hemisphere. It'll be summer when I read these, but I will pretend. So it says in the blurb that Vaskia loses her mother as a child and her father gets a new wife, and the mother seems to be against household spirits or any kind of magic. I can remember Vaskia, the main character, being quite a wild and free child, and the stepmother not liking that and trying to confine her. So I'm so excited to read these and to discuss them with everyone. I will leave the Twitter for the read along link down below because as of filming this video we haven't decided on a live show date and time. But yeah, make sure to follow the Twitter, make sure to go follow Meg, and I'll have her announcement video link down below because every other detail you need is in that video, and she also goes in depth about these books since she's read them and she loves them. She has a lot more to say than I do, but I'm just so excited. I love doing read alongs. I think those are my favorite thing to participate in because that's when you really get to discuss the books, you know? The next two I picked up the other day from my local bookstore. I got Dark Vanessa and Pachinko. Got these both for $10, so I'm so happy. Pachinko is a multi-generational story about the Japanese occupation of Korea. So I haven't read a whole lot of multi-generational stories this year, but I have in the past and I really enjoyed them. And this is an area of history like I know bare minimum nothing of. Like everything I know is either from like passing conversations with friends or my K-drama watching education, I guess you could say, which is nothing. So I'm really looking forward to this. I've heard incredible things and it's on my top 20 books of 2020 to read. So I have to get to this before the end of the year because I'm trying to get through all my TBRs. And of course, my Dark Vanessa is one that I've really seen made the rounds of BookTube, and from the time I first heard of this book I was very intrigued. This book follows a 30-year-old woman who starts, not revisiting, that's the wrong word, but she starts to think about her past, particularly her teenage years when she was underage and had a relationship with her teacher, a romantic and intimate relationship. I think this book deals with unpacking the trauma of what she went through because even though at the time she thought she was in love with him, she was really manipulated emotionally into the relationship with him. And I believe it deals with that, but also what's happened at the beginning of this book for her to start to rethink about these past experiences is there have been other girls who have come forward about relationships that they've had with this same teacher. So it seems to be a serial thing that he does, and that is also something that she has to face and deal with. And then I think she also has to have these really difficult conversations with not only people who didn't experience, but people who also experienced what she experienced. It sounds like not an easy read at all, and I've just heard a lot of people really like how this is told. Like I think it's told in quite a respectful and thoughtful way. I'm going to get to this probably not until the beginning of next year because I have a video that I want to do that includes this book, but I'm really looking forward to diving in and seeing what I think of it. The next 3 books I'm going to just quickly mention because these books I did an entire video on, but I did a video on Emma retellings recently. These 3 books were, well, 2 of these books were featured in it. This book was originally going to be featured in the video. I started this book, however, and then ended up DNFing it because it is not an Emma retelling. It's inspired by Jane Austen, but it's not actually a retelling. So I don't know when I'm going to get to this. I do want to try and get to this because it is by an independent author. Is that the right phrasing? Independent author. It's not published by a publisher. And the author is also Australian. So I really want to read it for those reasons. Don't know when though. I really don't know when because I've just got so many books to read. But I will get to this some stage. Now these 2 books were both in the Emma retelling video. This one off script is the 3rd book in a companion contemporary series, and each book in the series is a retelling of one of Jane Austen's books. So this one's obviously Emma, and here Emma is a celebrity. She was a child star on this like sitcom show, and now she's very, very famous and the it girl. Really, it's pretty faithful, I would say, to the original Emma story, but it does take a little bit of a turn and dive into the Me Too movement and sexual assault in like the entertainment industry. So trigger warnings for discussion on sexual assault. There's no graphic scenes or anything, but it is something that is quite strongly discussed. And this one follows a girl called Anya who lives in modern day Delhi, and she is based off the original Emma character, and she has hopes and dreams of becoming a writer. We kind of see her navigating society, and both these characters are trying to play matchmaker, or however this Emma is sort of more playing matchmaking with not only with relationships but also with careers, which is interesting and a nice twist. This one is just relationships. So if you want to hear more of my thoughts on these books, I will have the video where I read both of these linked up above in the cards and also down below in the description box. I also got The Sword of Kaigen. Now this book I'm so excited for. All I know is there's waterbending in this book. We follow a mother character. This is Japanese inspired and it's urban fantasy that feels like high fantasy. So I picked this book up first of all because I've heard incredible things from so many people, but also it is Erin from Booked and Busy's book club pick for November. Her book club is called the Busy Bee Book Club, and she has so kindly asked me to co-host it with her this month, and I'm so excited to read this and discuss it with her in the live show. So we haven't decided a live show date and time yet. I will leave the Busy Bee Book Club Twitter link down below. I'll also leave Erin's channel. Please check her out. She's incredible, especially when it comes to fantasy. She's like a fantasy reading queen. I get so many great recommendations of her, and I'm so excited for us to read this because I have really, really positive feelings that we are both going to love this. I really hope that's the case because I can just see us in the live show just gushing over this, and that'll be a lot of fun. Also, this book is self-published, so we love that as well. Okay, so the next 2 books are non-fiction feminist books. They're feminist books, but they're more about misogyny. So I've got Men Who Hate Women, and I've got Down Girl, which is the logic of misogyny. I've mentioned this so many times on Twitter and in a few past videos, but I have been planning for a little while now a video where I'm going to talk about misogyny in adult fantasy because it's something so prevalent, something that I'm so overseeing. I want to do a discussion video on it because I don't think it's a topic discussed enough. In a previous video, I was talking about Stormfront by Jim Butcher, which is a book I think is so offensive and misogynistic. It's bad. I said that before in multiple previous videos, and I had a comment from someone telling me that the book isn't misogynistic, that it's just sexist. When I got that comment, it really got me thinking that I don't think a lot of people know the difference between what is sexist and what is misogynistic. I know a bit myself, but I want more of an understanding because when I make that video, I want to be able to make sure my arguments has no holes or as little holes as possible. That comment just really highlighted to me the fact that we don't talk about misogyny enough because first of all, they don't recognize it. A lot of SF readers, and basically no one talks about it, so I'm gonna do it. I just thought it would be a good idea to pick these up in order to be able to reference them. Okay, I also picked up Love, Audrey. Now this book I picked up because of Meg, who I mentioned earlier, Meg with Books. She loves this book. She read this for a video. It was her reading childhood favorites video. Yeah, I got it on her recommendation. I know it follows an 11-year-old girl who loses her, I think it's both parents, or maybe she just had her mother, but I know she loses her parents in a car crash and she becomes an orphan, and it's about her adjusting to that life and also moving in with her grandmother and what's life like with her. It sounds very very sad, and sometimes I like to read sad books, so I will be reading this probably next year. Okay, I then got the Theembled Circus. I didn't realize that this book was a short story collection until I received it. All I knew was that it was a fantasy retelling of stories, and if you don't know, I do like a lot of retelling videos, so I was going to use it for that, but it turns out that this book is like a mashup of short stories and retellings of different stories. I'm excited to see this take. There's so many, like Brandon Sanderson has blurbed this. It's won a whole bunch of awards, so I'm really interested. So I think this story is about all these original characters. Like we've got Dorothy, we've got Alice, we've got Wendy, but they're all part of this circus. I think each short story follows one of the characters. Very intrigued. And that's it. Not a huge haul, but I wanted to share these books. Let me know if you've read any of these and your thoughts on them. I would love to hear that. Otherwise, I really hope that you're enjoying whatever you're currently reading, and I really hope to see you next time. Bye!